Everybody.
We are live. We are live. Welcome to the first episode of what we call the new intersection.
The Intersection 2.0.
2.0. I'm here with Elsa M. Our two other co-hosts are fabulous and traveling around the world. Ty Beauchamp. What we call the new intersection. Hold on.
We got some feedback. There we go.
I'm here. Yeah, hold on. Let me turn my sound off over here. Fabulous and traveling around the world. That's because I got it live. Hold on. Let me turn this off. There we go.
There you go.
And Jeff Johnson, Jeff's Nation is deboarding a plane and is gonna join us soon. But we couldn't wait. We had to get started. So before we get started, to let you guys know some changes that we're making. You know, we're not only going to live stream this show here on YouTube, but we're also going to live stream individually on Periscope. So if you follow any of us on Periscope, we're live there now. Yep. And if you're on Periscope and you want to join us, just hit our Twitter feeds and click on the link to get to see all of us at the same time. So we're going to give you two perspectives at the same time, one on Periscope and one on YouTube.
And you'll have to forgive us if we look a little funny and we're looking over that way.
This is groundbreaking. This is groundbreaking stuff. Groundbreaking stuff.
So why don't we do some intros for people who don't know us, Navarro? You want to go first?
Absolutely. So, lady, I'm a gentleman. Ladies first.
Ladies first. All right. So, for those of you who watched the Intersection a couple years ago with me and Jeff Johnson, I am Elsa M. Jeff and I had a show on Bliss FM for about 2 years until my husband and I expected our first child, and then I was exhausted. I was really, really tired. So the show went on hiatus, and now we have rebooted with a cast of 4 co-hosts, Navarro being one of them. But a little bit of my background, I was a former TV reporter in Rochester, New York, and Louisville, Kentucky. And then I was the host of WDKX's morning show in Rochester, New York for about 4 years before moving down here to the DC area and then launching the Intersection a couple years ago with Jeff. So I'm excited to be rebooting this with a new team and some fresh ideas and a different platform, to be doing this on Periscope and Twitter and Google Hang Suite, and just be in a completely different era in the comfort of our own home. And the way that we travel, we're always somewhere, so we can always have our phone and our laptop. Is just a really cool and exciting way to get started again. So that's a little about me. Of course, you can always tweet me at I am Elsa M. Follow me on Periscope. Hi, Periscope. And yeah, those are probably the best ways to get in contact with me. And it's always me, not somebody else tweeting from my handle.
Fantastic. So I'll jump in there. My name is Navarro Wright. A little bit about my background. I've been involved in the technology space for about 25 years. I was the former chief technology officer at BET, ran BET.com from 2000 to 2006. I was the co-founder of GlobalGrind.com with Russell Simmons, leading hip-hop content site. I was the chief technology officer over at Radio One. So yes, if I can get an internship at Ebony Black Enterprise and Jet, I would have worked at every black media company in the history of black media. I currently am the VP of engineering at a company called Realio. We have a YouTube marketplace that connects brands and consumers. And I'm the creator of the Close the Divide project. And I travel the country trying to get more minorities and women involved in technology, trying to close the digital divide. And that's me. I'm happy to be here, happy to be a part of this intersection. And we think there's an opportunity for us to talk about things from a perspective that people aren't used to. We think when the 4 of us are together, you're going to hear great perspectives, and we think we all bring something unique to the table. So happy to be here as well.
So a little bit, just in terms of the topics, we're always open to any topics that you guys have for us. So during the week, as you're hearing headlines or you want us to talk about it on Sundays, today it's Sunday at 7, but typically it'll be Sundays at 6 p.m. If there's something that you want us to talk about or that's pressing or that you have a question about, just tweet us throughout the week and then we'll add it to the conversation. But this show is going to be really more of a conversation than anything else. So off the top of my mind, right off the beginning, I know, Navarro, we were talking a little bit about this right off before the show started, but about the Instagram account for MAC Cosmetics. Did you hear about the story?
Yeah, you were hipping me to it. Give everybody some background, because you were kind of giving me the backstory on it.
Yes. So MAC Cosmetics, which you know, well, maybe you don't know because you're a guy, but women know it is made for women.
I know about MAC Cosmetics, but I don't wear them, but I know about them.
Okay. So they're made for women of all backgrounds, hues. I mean, like, if there's a color that you want, any woman of any shade, of any complexion can find it at MAC Cosmetics. So it's really, really multicultural, and they embrace that. Well, they had a lipstick color that they put on Instagram this week, advertising the lipstick color on this beautiful woman's face. Yeah, there you go. I mean, luscious, beautiful lips. And instead of the conversation being about, I don't know, the lip color being beautiful or her lips being beautiful, you got all these racist a-holes coming out of the woodwork to talk about the fact that her lips were full. First of all,
let's pause. We got baller alert. Baller alert.
What?
Elsa M is sitting at her house, relaxing, nothing to do on a Sunday. I'm sitting at my house after a day in church. Jeff is hot off a plane.
What's up, Jeff? We're going to pause the conversation for a second and get Jeff in here. Hey.
Sitting on the Uber, joining us jet setting. Jeff, what's up, man?
What's up, y'all? You know, and I, you know, I always am a stickler for proper light, but since it's dark,
you actually look okay. It looks so dark. It looks okay.
It's not bad.
That's because I'm holding a phone up with the flashlight on.
I'm not mad at you.
I make it work, man. Wherever I am, I make it work. I'm better than Roland Martin.
Hey, man, that's the beauty of the show. Now you need somebody to travel with you so they can hold up another phone and put you on Periscope.
Well, I started to do that and hold another one at the same time, but I just thought that would look awkward.
Yeah. We'll get there, man. But glad you could join us, man. We were jumping into topics, but before we did that, we kind of talked to everybody about why we decided to come together to do this show. And I think pretty much everybody here knows you, but for the one or two that don't, maybe just kind of give a brief introduction, man, and give your thoughts about why we're putting this together.
Well, I mean, my name is Jeff Johnson, and you know, I am a communications specialist. I own a communications firm that has a wide range of clients. I think most of the people that know my brand per se is from the work that I've done with BET, with MSNBC, with CNN. In fact, just interviewed Hillary Clinton for BET today. But you know, we have all been talking about how we do this stuff differently, and the fact that there is not enough outlets for real conversation and innovative conversation. And so we wanted to find a way to use the technology at our disposal to bring together a broad range of voices and people, to have a good time doing it, and to build an audience that wanted to have this kind of conversation.
See, that's why you can use the term communication specialist, because you said that about 100 times better than I could ever say it. So you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But I don't know how to run the Google Hangout, so there it is.
We couldn't do it.
Right. And we all have a role. You know what I mean?
Yes, true.
Well, good, Matt. Well, thanks for joining, Matt. Elsa and I were talking about the first topic. She was kind of hipping me too about this issue about MAC Cosmetics and their Instagram account. So, Elsa, I'm gonna let you jump back in and finish on that. Say again?
Did we lose him?
No, I'm here.
Did you see it, Jeff?
I saw it briefly. I was in straight up political land this week. So break it down for me.
Yeah, I wasn't. So I'll tell you about what was happening in non-political land, and then we'll get to, you know, we'll get to Jeb, poor little Jeb. Anyway, but the moral of the story is that they had this beautiful picture of this woman's lips, and it was this color that they were trying to advertise, that MAC was trying to advertise. And instead of people commenting on, I don't know, the lipstick color, which they were trying to advertise, you get these racist people that come on and bombard the site with everything about the fact that she has, I don't know, full lips like many African American women. What was surprising, well, I shouldn't even say surprising. I guess I was surprised that people were surprised. But the question to you guys is, do you think that it's the internet that makes people more brave? Or do you think that it's just a fact that there's a small minority of racist people that now have a voice?
Does it have to be one or the other?
It doesn't.
Because I think that there's both going on. And you've got one where you definitely have people who are super brave because they're anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got people who are blatant racist. And what's interesting to me, and what I think is super funny about this whole thing, is that you've got people who are leaving these racist comments, and the reality is that in a lot of cases, these women are paying thousands of dollars for Botox in their lips, mm-hmm. And attempting to look like that. So to me, that is the more interesting kind of reality of, you've got women who are not African American, and who are African American, who are paying thousands of dollars for collagen implants and implants in their lips to look like that, but then you've got people who are saying that it's not beautiful. So I think that's the real interesting.
Well, it's not beautiful if it's on a black woman. That's the thing that drives me crazy, is that you get the Kylie Jenners that are all about the lips. You get the Kim Kardashians that are all about the booty. And then all of a sudden, it's a year of the booty. It's a year of the lips. Well, we've been rocking it since before AD. Like, I don't understand, like, how it's now a new thing. Now, I saw today, trip me out. They're talking about boxer braids. Like, ooh, look, these girls are rocking the new boxer braids. How can we get hair like, what was it, Katy Perry, and it's the long boxer braids? I'm like, chick, this has been done for decades, but because black folks were doing it, it doesn't count? Like, how does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, and let me do this real quick, because I'm now on Periscope, and I know my Periscopers are like, what the hell is Jeff doing right now? The intersection, and we are doing the intersection in two ways. We're doing the intersection on Google Hangout, and we're doing the intersection on our Periscopes. So say what's up to Navarro Wright, and say what's up to Elsa M. The intersection, yes, the intersection is back. One of my Periscopers asked, and this is the way that we're doing it. Normally, however, I will not be in the car holding
anything is necessary, my brother.
A computer in my lap, a phone in my hand, and another phone to light the screen. But I just wanted to make sure that my Periscope folks knew what was going on. Navarro, what were you saying, brother?
Yeah, so well, before we even go there, let the Periscope people know that they can watch it not only with you on Periscope, but they can jump to on YouTube and watch all of us at the same time. The link is in your Twitter timeline. Have them go ahead and click on that. You can send that retweet out so that they have it. You know, I know you're out of devices, but I sent it on the Twitter timeline as well.
So go to Navarro Wright's Twitter page, because I don't have any hands left. There's not going to be any retweeting at all going on. But somebody said they got it on YouTube, so no, we in the house.
Good. And let them know if they have questions or comments to put them on Twitter with hashtag the intersection, and we'll grab them, we'll respond to them as well. And you know, if you guys are just tuning in, we're talking about the MAC Cosmetics Instagram account. And Elsa, you asked a question about, is it a few people who are brave or a few people are fearful? And I think Jeff articulated well that it's both. But you know, I tell people in a lot of cases, you got to realize that the internet is just a tool, right? A lot of people think that, you know, because the internet happens, people are saying these things. These are things that people already said, but now they have these platforms in which they can say them.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I don't think any of them are brave. I think they're all cowardice. I think nobody's standing up and saying, hey, my name is Jamal, and I live on such and such street, and this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're hiding behind Instagram accounts or Twitter accounts.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you know, we have the opportunity to not perpetuate it. I think the other challenge that we don't realize is, especially black people, we fuel a lot of it, right? We see it as opposed to shooting it down. we give them that platform that they were looking for in the first place.
That is true.
And don't tell them that they're off. So I think, unfortunately, what the medium has done is giving us the ability to fuel that negativity as opposed to stomping them out.
Well, I'll tell you, I do agree with that. But when I see these things, I never comment on the actual Instagram post because I feel like that just gives the racists what they want, and you start engaging about something that is, you can't change anybody's mind. However, I do think it's a good platform. My Facebook page, my Twitter, I'll take that, and if I have the energy to educate that week, it will become a lesson for everyone. If I don't, then not so much. But it's just, I saw it and I was immediately struck because, I went to primarily white schools growing up, and I had actually really good classmates. I didn't experience any sort of, crazy racism or anything like that, but I was the only one in my class growing up. And so I had to field a lot of questions, just little things like your hair or your makeup, or not makeup, your hair or your lips or what have you. And as a child, you become very self-conscious about that, not even realizing why you are. You just know that you are different, you are other. Yeah. And I think that seeing this post tapped into that for me, because as an adult, I was like, are we still doing this? Is that really what's happening? Like, the things that I was self-conscious about back in the day are the things that I'm like, thank God I have hair, lips, and hips. Like, yes. But back in the day, that wasn't the case. And so you would just hope it would be better in this generation.
Well,
and
why?
It's the same old thing.
Well, why would it be better?
I said you would hope it would be better. I didn't say that there's actual concrete evidence that it should be better. I just said the hope should be. I mean, I have a daughter now, and the fact that I'm thinking about her potentially even, going into a classroom in a couple of years and hearing those same things, it's 2016. It's not, whatever, year it was that I was dealing with this, 1990, So it's the same old thing, and it's so tired. It's so tired, but what you gonna do? Oh, look at you with your two phones.
Teach people to love themselves. I mean, and it sounds cliche, but we really are in this place where we spread a hell of a lot more hate than we do love.
Yes.
And you've got social media that lives by it and feeds off it. You've got reality TV that lives off it and feeds off it. So I mean, there are reality shows that live off of black women hating each other.
Right.
There are reality shows that live off of and get ratings off of black women finding ways to tear at their own insecurities in the name of ratings.
Yeah.
And so it is unbelievable that this becomes a market-driven reality, right?
Yeah.
Where now, to your point, when we were in school, you had kids that were mean. And you had kids who they didn't, they weren't given self-esteem at home, and as a result of it, they were taking it out on other kids. You got people profiting on this, and you've got producers who cast stuff based on this, and you've got network executives that are looking for more people to find a new arc or discussion. Like, how many damn Housewives shows do you need?
Yeah.
The entire Housewives franchise is based on women in a space about each other, and they tear each other down. So to your point, Elle, I agree with you, but I think the reason why it hasn't gotten better is because we've taken what was natural insecurities and made it a market-driven commodity.
Yeah.
Frightening, but true. I mean, you're right. Anytime you monetize something that is negative, you're going to get more of the same. Funny you talk about reality television. I used to be, me, just a few short years ago, that was my whole gossip report. I had to stop because it really was weighing down on me. It sounds so funny, but I'd be watching these shows. I was like, why are we fighting? We are grown women. What is happening? Like, I couldn't watch that week in and week out without feeling some sort of way about, it wasn't entertainment anymore.
So there you go.
Now Jeff's on twice.
Oh, double the Jeff.
I know. I think he must have hit a little bad internet spot. I think, Jeff made a good point while he recalibrates. Jeff made a good point, specifically the Housewives shows. I think, we were watching Now he's in 3 times. We were watching the Housewives of the Potomac about a week ago, and what I realized was that within 1 hour, they were able to tear down a pastor, a businessman, a public figure within that 30 minutes just by letting their wives or ex-wives vent about their situations. And if you think about this whole Mac thing, who do you think is fueling the racists with things to talk about? Sometimes we're fueling them ourselves, right? If we're tearing ourselves down, then we can't get up in arms when someone comes and regurgitates what we've said 2 weeks ago on one of these shows that we're glued to. So I agree. I think we got to hold ourselves a little more accountable.
Yeah.
If we want them to stop, then what's happened. To your point, you said you hoped that it would change.
Yeah.
What's changed is we do it just as much to ourselves as mainstream does. So we can't fight them. It's funny, the Black Panther documentary aired last week on PBS, and people are talking about how that time and era was. The difference between now and then is that there was much more pride about being black and the state and the nature of our struggle. But nowadays, we're so happy to bring out our ratchet, dirty laundry for the sake of a reality show. We're fueling the fire more than we realize.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was pressing on my mind, but I know that there were more pressing issues. Jeff, you said you were in the middle of the political storm sphere this whole week.
Yeah.
What about Jeb? Poor little Jeb. The wind's out of his sails.
I mean, if we're going to be honest, Jeb is in a lot of ways it was really a non-issue through the entire campaign.
Yeah.
And he was a non-issue.
Bless his heart.
What?
He was a wet blanket, bless his heart. It was just like you could almost hear the thought cloud over his head going womp womp. Like that's just like the exclamation point was not helping.
But you know what's interesting? I mean, I think Jeb Bush on one end was in many ways the same thing that what's my guy's name who was the governor of Maryland? O'Malley.
O'Malley. I like O'Malley.
Well, yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean he needs to run for president.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I like Jamie Foxx, but I don't want him to run for president. But Jamie Foxx actually might have gotten more votes than O'Malley. I mean, it comes down to this thing, man, where you've got these folks who are incredibly arrogant and don't understand American politics. And I think Jeb Bush was, frankly, just incredibly disconnected, not from what he had the ability to bring, because I don't think he was a bad governor. And I think that there is data to show that he wasn't an awful governor, but I don't think that he understood the electorate in 2016 well enough to say, is this a good time for me? Does the country want me as president, or is this a dream that my family has? And so I think that O'Malley was in a position where, number one, he doesn't understand history, because when was the last time in modern American history where a Northeasterner got elected president? Think about it. Think about it.
Does that matter?
Sure it does.
So what, you can't try just because someone that was a Northeasterner has not been elected in a long time? Why not try?
You try because the country wants you to run. And most Northeasterners don't relate to the Midwest and the South. Because
Yeah,
they've got.
we don't know that until, Bill Clinton was a Southerner.
Who?
Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was from Arkansas. Look at you, frozen, because I'm speaking the truth.
You froze him up. What was that?
What was that, Jeff? What?
Well, the biggest counter I was going to give to him is that Barack Obama won and he's black. So that refutes any historical electoral knowledge that needs.
There you are, Jeff. Are you back? Yeah, you're right, Navarro.
Yeah.
I was saying that Bill Clinton is a Southerner. He's from Arkansas.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying you only have had Midwestern and Southern presidents.
Oh, I thought you said you weren't. Okay, got it.
Right. When you're from the Northeast, you're dealing with very different kind of issues, very different kind of demographics, very different geographical areas, and as a result, it makes it very different, even from a policy standpoint, for you to relate to the Midwest and the South. That is why you have only had one Northeastern president in the last 100 years, and that was Kennedy.
Yeah, but we could get Trump, and that could change that.
But Trump is a Martian. Like, he's not even a Northeastern. He's just an alien from outer space that is come as an infectious disease into the American politic to hopefully open up minds to something new.
So, you know, there was a debate today that I had with my sister-in-law, and it was in regards, does Trump actually stand a chance to get the GOP nomination? I mean, he's winning primaries. So do you think that he can sway enough of them? Because his own party does not like him. Do you think that he can still sway enough of them to actually get the nod?
Well, who in his own party doesn't like him is the question.
Conservatives?
So the reality is,
like true conservatives. They'll call themselves true conservatives.
but Mark Lamont Hill and I were talking about this today. Like, there was a time when people said Trump would never get 30%, and he got 30%. They said he would get up to 40%, and he's at 40%. They said he wouldn't get to 50%, but in some places he's at 50%. And so, you know, at some point we have to actually say, you know, it's likely that Trump will be the Republican nominee if something doesn't change. Because even if one or two governors, Rubio or Kasich, and even Cruz, stay in the race, they're still getting second and thirds and don't have enough votes to win the nomination.
So you think he's going to get the nomination?
I think that based on where we are right now,
yeah,
you know, logic actually says that yes, Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee for president of the United States.
I need this.
My heart just sort of sunk a little bit. Sorry. I think I had a moment. I was like, so Canada is looking real good right now.
Anywhere. The Caribbean, anywhere but here. So Jeff's frozen again. He'll be back in a second. So while we're waiting for Jeff, we've had a couple people react on the internet.
Oh yeah, I should check Twitter.
Yeah, so about our first story, they were saying that people have to understand that we were and still are beautiful before others gave us their approval or permission. That's from Black Woman Speak. And she also said that the world has always made a profit from insecurities. Pond has a product called White Beauty. Mm-hmm. So those were her two reactions from the internet. And
I think even touching on that too, I don't think you can compare women's beauty. I think that's part of the problem. White women are beautiful, Black women are beautiful, Asian women are beautiful, Hispanic women are beautiful. Like, you know, God has created all these different women. Like, why are we saying that that is more beautiful than that, or that is more beautiful? Like, it does not make sense to me at all. Like, and who wins out of that? Like, it's perpetuating that hierarchy that's already been set in place. But I mean, in this day and age, it's like, what is the point? Like, what?
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, Jeff's point about people loving themselves is what's most important. Like you said, you know, God created all of us, and we all have a unique beauty. And there's, no matter who we are, there's someone out there that God has ordained that's going to see that beauty and recognize it. So once you recognize that and understand that, then it doesn't matter if somebody says your feature is good or bad or indifferent, because it's not their case to give you that judgment. And I think, you know, if we really want to get deep about the issue, right, is that there's not enough people, you know, in their own families helping people develop that strong self, you know, sense of self. So they go out in the world and they're not impacted by what people say. We're so driven by what someone writes on Twitter or what someone puts on Facebook that, you know, we think it defines us. You know, it's crazy. Like, you know, we've been on this TD Jakes bin this week, and he said something about that we put merit on, you know, a friend that we grab by a click of a button, right? And then we hold on their every word like it's valuable. You know, you can friend and unfriend that person and not material into your life, just like somebody on Twitter. So stop putting the weight in what they said. Yeah.
I mean, I understand that when you're talking about adults. I guess my concern is immediately being, you know, taken back to being a child, you know, when those things are reinforced. And, you know, there's a little Black girl that's looking at this Instagram account, or at least here's this story, or maybe here's her aunties talking about it. And you internalize that, where it's like, oh, I'm not attractive, or, you know, this feature about me is not attractive, or something to joke about or point fun at. And honestly, we do it to ourselves too, you know, like, black folks will do it to other black folks, which is, I mean, that thing about loving yourself, that's real. That is real. But.
Yeah, so as a father of 4, and the internet goes crazy because they're like, there's no way that Kai has 4 kids, but it's true. As a father of 4, I actually think that responsibility is in the home. Like, I think I agree with you. No matter what we do, there's going to be people in the world, specifically for black people, who are going to say, we aren't this, we aren't that. But I think if you develop a strong sense of self in your home, then you can send your kids out in the world, at least being prepared to handle and deal with that. And you're right, we do it to ourselves. But if you walk out, recognize anyone who says anything negative about you is all based on their own insecurity, or they see something in you that they wish they had, that mentality is crucial. And when you talk about family, I think the challenge is, because of the breakdown of the family, there's not enough people who have that at home to reinforce them to go out into the world. So they go out into the world looking for that validation, and they come in contact with these negative remarks. And to your point, they internalize and say, well, hey, maybe I am not that attractive. Maybe my skin is too dark. And that's what perpetuates it. And, and literally, I'm going to pick up on what someone said on the internet. Unfortunately, we have to unlearn what we have been conditioned to believe. You're absolutely right. Like, I mean, the reason why we think red pumps are classy or because society told us red pumps are classy. Like, it's not innate. We got to unlearn and recognize, what's our value and what we're bringing to the table. And once you know that, nobody can knock that down. No, and people will try. They'll try even harder. But, we got to change it.
Yeah, agreed. I didn't know. Is there anything else? Sorry, guys, for Periscope. That was really all up in my face. They probably got frightened. Like, yeah. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about this week? We're just sort of trying this out. Wanted to see what it is that you guys were thinking about. You can tweet us. Periscope, I'm actually looking at the camera right now. So if you got a question,
right,
send that over, because I'm not always looking at the screen.
Yeah, send it. Send it with the hashtag The Intersection. But I definitely want to jump on this other story you and I were talking about this guy in Kalamazoo, the Uber driver, who was on a 7-hour killing rampage, and was picking up fares. Let me bring this up on the screen in case people hadn't seen it yet.
In fact, if you can paraphrase that story real quick, that would be helpful.
Yeah. So literally, this guy apparently was killing people throughout the day in Kalamazoo, Michigan. He killed 6 people. And in between, he was picking up normal fares. So he would pick up, drop off passengers, then he would go shoot somebody, then he would go pick up and drop off passengers and shoot some more. And this literally just happened last night. It lasted for 7 hours. If you're looking at the screen, you see who this guy is. But I think this brings up a lot of conversations, right? It brings up, the whole issue of Uber, right? So Uber is going to go through all of this for the next month or so about people being safe. And I can tell you stories about that. It's going to bring up the whole thing about the importance of background checks and are they really valid, because they did a background check on this guy. So Elsa,
Uber was so secondary to me in this story, though.
Go ahead.
Like, I feel like Uber's the quick way that people can sort of say, like, ooh, Uber. I mean, it's crazy. It's a cab driver. It could have happened with Uber or a regular cab driver. So I think the more important thing, or the thing that stuck out to me right away, was that this guy did not have a criminal history, did not have any, maybe he had a mental breakdown that his neighbors are now saying that his house was getting burglarized a lot, and so he was sort of losing it and had a lot of guns. So obviously that's a red flag, but nothing where he was like committed or diagnosed or, had any sort of mental illness that went diagnosed. And so by all accounts, not only is he just like some regular dude, he's also randomly targeting people. I read today that at the Cracker Barrel, where he had just dropped off, some passengers, and then goes to the Cracker Barrel right next door to where he dropped people off, he killed a 60-year-old, a 68-year-old, a 74-year-old, a 70-year-old. Like, he killed random elderly women for no reason. He shot a 14-year-old girl who right now is alive, they said miraculously, because they thought she was dead. He killed somebody in an apartment complex, like indiscriminately just walked around killing people. And to me, it's just one of those things, like, you want to be able to protect yourself on some level. You want to be able to say, like, oh, well, that guy is a little crazy, so I'm going to stay away from him. or, you know, that person is a, you know, this and that. There were not enough, those red flags that you're expecting to see, you don't always see. So for me, I'm walking around now just looking at everybody like, are you the next crazy dude in Kalamazoo? Like this, I mean, and I don't know how you curb that. I don't know if it really is one of those things, you know, where we're talking a lot more about gun control and background checks and this and that. If this guy had gotten a background check, nothing would have come up. So I don't know what the answer what the answer is for this, because a background check wouldn't have found this. There was no mental defect that we know of. So what do you do? We just hope and pray?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll take it from a couple of vantage points. So first and foremost, let's talk about Uber's role in this, because I know how people are, and they become technophobes. People were like, see, that's why you can't use Uber. That's why I should have never used these services. You know, I was in a I was in a Black Chamber of Commerce meeting about 6 months ago, and Uber came to present, and there were 50 people there, owners of businesses, etc., who had never heard of Uber. And I'm shaking my head, looking around.
Wait. What town were you in?
So I'm in South Jersey, right outside of Philly. So I walk in, and they're like, what is this Uber? This is like 6 months ago. And here's why that's a challenge, because if you don't know about Uber, then you don't know how to tell your unemployed brother that he can go get a job at Uber tonight and get Uber to finance his car. And, you know, the opportunities you don't know. I mean, my daughters go to Philly and go to New York, and I always have them catch an Uber because they can see the face of the person. I know what car they're in. They know what car they're in. You know, and you know, I've been riding Uber since it just started in San Francisco. So whenever I get into the car, I always ask the person, like, well, how do you like driving for Uber? And the story that stuck out to me was it was a guy in New York, and I said, what's the best thing you like about it? And he's like, look, I don't get beat up anymore. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, well, I drive a regular cab in Brooklyn, and he said, I get robbed at least once a month. I don't know who I'm picking up, etc. So I bring that up to say, you know, don't immediately jump and say all of a sudden, oh, I got to stop using Uber. I got to stop using these platforms. You got to use, at the end of the day, we're going to use good judgment. And to your point, there's certain times we just don't know, right? But the difference is, if you think about it, if this guy was just driving a random car, you know, we would have never known who this person was. We'd have never known who he picked up. We would have never known where he was. So there's advantages to it. And I bring that up because we all jump on the side of fear and say that we don't want to use something anymore when it has value. So don't preach the wrong message. To your point, this guy was clearly off balance. There was no indicator, at least from the public indicators, background check, etc., that would say he was going to do this. But, you know, as you know, when you look at any of these issues, there was someone in his life who knew he was off balance, who didn't say anything. Yeah. That's the fact.
Point too, when you're talking about Uber, the people, there was an interview I saw with one of the passengers who said he was driving erratically. He got a phone call, started driving erratically, sideswiped the car, but kept going. At one point was going 80 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour lane. The passenger asked him, you know, let me out. He doesn't say anything. He's still very calm, but driving like a maniac. And he said as soon as the car slowed down enough, he jumped out the car. Like, he wasn't let out. He jumped out the car and then told his fiance. They tried to contact Uber. So to your point, they could not contact Uber. And that is a problem too, because they want you just to send emails and they act like it's no big deal. And he also reported it to the Kalamazoo police and said, hey, I was just in this Uber car, or this Uber driver, I was in this taxi, and he was driving erratically. It was crazy, and you guys need to, you know, check up on him. And if they did, it was mad delayed. And by that time, he was, you know, still on his killing spree. So, you know, there are certain things with the chain of command, or at least the dissemination of communication between Uber and the police department, where there were so many lapses in which, you know, you can't have that in this day and age, especially if you pride yourself upon immediate communication. Like, you got that immediate communication when you want my dollars. You have that immediate communications when you want to figure out how much to charge me and where to pick me up. Why don't you have the immediate communication when I'm now, you know, in the car with a psycho killer, which is not hyperbole. I am in the car with a psycho killer. Like, you need to answer the phone. There needs to be somebody that handles that. So, you can't just, you know, wipe your hands and, you know, wash your hands of it and say, send me an email and I'll talk to you within, you know, 24 to 48 business hours. Like that doesn't work.
No, I agree. I mean, I think there's definitely going to be a lot of things that they have to do. I mean, shoot, I'm going to give them a free feature right now. Literally what they need to do is on the passenger app, add a button, a panic button that basically,
smart.
if I'm a driver,
the Periscope people need to hear you say that.
So,
what do they do about it?
Yes. So basically what Uber needs to do is they need to add a panic button in their passenger app that the moment a person who's riding the car hits that button, it signals where that driver is. It signals the local police to come find it. And even, you know, and they can put a disclaimer. If you hit this button falsely and there's not an issue, you will be prosecuted, which will bring people away from doing it. But that, right to your point, we have that two-way communication that they always know where I am. They need a lifeline, right? And the hope is that they'll realize that this customer service thing they have is not good enough, but there's a technical way of them fixing that and making that better to give me ability to reach out to them or reach out to the authorities. And then the button's better because if the guy's crazy, I can't pick up the phone and say, hey, this guy's crazy, get me out of the car. So I think that's how they solve it. I think there's a way to solve it. But you're right, though. You know, when you put anyone's future in your hands, you got to make sure you have policies in place in case things go awry.
Yeah.
You know, you got to think of those contingencies if you're going to run companies.
I mean, now they're doing, you know, fees for safe driver background checks. They have surge pricing. You can surely add a button. So,
oh yeah, I mean, you know,
we'll send that to them and get a response in 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, and like you said, I think they have to. I think, you know, but I do believe, like any of these platforms, specifically with minorities, is we need to understand how these things work. We need to understand the ins and outs of them. Don't run away and be ignorant to them, because, you know, you want to know how I can get out of these situations. You want to know what their customer service options are, the options to contact them. So we just got to be more educated. We can't just be ignorant on either side. We got to be more educated. But my heart goes out to the families that were affected by this. And you know, we're going to hear, you know, it just happened last night. So we're going to hear about it for the next month.
I mean, it breaks my heart. I don't feel like anyone deserves to, you know, you live on this earth for 60, 68, 74 years, 14 years, but you know, you're getting more senior in age. You go to the freaking Cracker Barrel with your girls, and then some guy ends your life. Like, you don't live your life that long to have it end like that. Like, my heart breaks for those women, their families. This 14-year-old who is 14, you know, this is not the type of thing that you should be experiencing at that age and then have to cope with if you make it. You know, our world, especially our society here, is just, it's hurt and it's sick right now. And it's heartbreaking because you don't really know how to fix it. You know, you just sort of try to do what you can in your own spheres with your own friends, your own family, and protect as much as you can. But, you know, you go out in the world, it's a scary, scary place. You know, there's a lot of beauty in this world, but there's a lot of just randomness to it as well. So anyway, sorry to be so heavy, you guys, but that was, I mean, I saw the and I was just like, what is going on? You know, and then that's the thing too, you know, not to keep harping on it, but it's like, you have that cognition where it's like, okay, what is going on? And then, you know, it sort of dies down, you forget about it even, you hate to say you forget about it, but you do. And then the next thing pops up. And then the next thing, like, it's like this wave, it ebbs and flows, and it keeps continuing where it's just one more horrific headline, you forget about it, and then one more horrific headline, and it does not stop. I don't know. I just feel like at some point, you know, we talk about America being the greatest country in the world, you know, and there's a lot of truth to that, but we're not the only great country in the world. And I feel like you have to look at other great countries that do not have this problem and, you know, see what they're doing. You know, maybe we can't replicate everything, but it's got to be better than what we're doing right now, because this ain't working.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think, you know, there's just an absence. There's an absence of faith in this country, and I think when there's an absence of faith, people don't think that life's worth living, and then you have people doing things like this. So I agree with you. I think if you think about our show today, there's been a theme around, you know, having compassion and love for one another, having love for yourself, and having some level of faith and understanding, and having a spiritual connection. I think in absence of those, you have people doing hurtful rants on Instagram. You have people who disconnected from society and start going out and doing things to hurt people, to let them, I was in a leadership class recently at church, and it made the statement that hurt people, right? So any of these things, whether it's a cowardice rant on Instagram, there's somebody putting a gun in their car and randomly killing people, it starts from a basis of being hurt. And when people recognize that and understand that, hey, what have I done today to cause someone else hurt or discomfort, that could have been the seed in which discontent formed, and now that they're going out, we don't think about those extremes, right? We talked about the housewife shows, we talked about all these things that are creating these seeds of discontent. And if we don't realize that we're planting those seeds and that we're the creators of that discontent, we're never going to stop seeing the stop of the things that escalate to. And to your point, don't have an arrogance that we're in this place that we can do whatever we want because we're this great country. There's other places, because they're smaller, they're more intimate, they don't do those things, and then hence they don't have the same problems that we have. So we got to take, in these conversations and dialogue, we got to take some ownership on what we're doing.
Amen to that. On that note, we should wrap up, because guess what, everybody, Periscope, I'm at 14% power on my laptop.
So we definitely should. So we had a cameo by Jeff, as you guys saw, that he was on his way back from the airport. We'll have him stable next week. But a couple things, we're going to be sharing the heck out of this. Let your friends, cousins know that the intersection is back, 4 hosts strong. Next week, we should have a full contingent. Our time is going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern. Yep. During the week, we'll send out the recap. We'll send you the link to the YouTube channel. We'll send you the link to all of our Periscopes. Tell your friends, send to the hashtag the intersection. Let us know what you want to hear from us talking about. We're going to touch on things on a weekly basis. Yep. And we're excited. This was good. I mean, people were excited. Feedback. Nobody
already get from the field. It's real informal. We want you guys to be a part of the conversation as well. That's why we are moving around on Periscope, and I'm panning over to the laptop. This is not, super polished, everyone buttoned up, and here's my studio. This is, a real conversation with the 4 of us, and of course all of you. So if there's anything that you guys have questions about, anything that's pressing, or maybe a story that the 4 of us just didn't hear about this week, you guys might know things that are going on in your own local communities. So let us know so that we can be a megaphone for you and put that out, because if we don't tell our stories, nobody else will. So do tell us so that we can tell everybody else. Make sure you got some research behind it. Don't just be spitting out random silliness. Let us give us some facts with this so that we can get it.
We don't need the random conspiracy theories and but we know we're gonna get them, unfortunately, because
don't play us like that, man.
Right. We got other things we could do. Quick shout out. We have viewers from all ranges. My father-in-law was watching, Lieutenant Colonel Clifford Hill, so shouting him out. But hey, guys,
people, I'm shouting out my husband. What up, Cootie Mac? I see.
I'm shouting out my family. Rita.
Yeah. We had some people from Italy that were watching.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'll go back on Periscope and see who else is watching. But yeah, we enjoy you guys from all over the world. So thank you for supporting.
No, absolutely, guys. God bless you. We'll see you next week. Share this link. Let people know the intersection is back.
6 p.m. Eastern time.
See you next week on the internet.
Bye.